The race to be named the best player in all of college football has gotten tighter. Texas volleyball is looking to finish strong before beginning the NCAA tournament, and a familiar face, Jonathan Brooks, is back on the gridiron to help his team try and pull off another David and Goliath story. Stay tuned because we're talking all this out on the one and only College Crossfire.
All right, I'm going with the classic, the 9-9-9. I'm going to do the 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, 9 innings challenge.
Need I say more? Need I say more? Need I say more at all?
From Costco specifically, I'm going to take 2 double chunk chocolate cookies, ice cream sandwich, but it's fried.
It's about to get hot in here, folks.
It's about to get hot. Good evening to all our viewers tonight. I'm your host, Robert Gonsolin, and we've got a great show in store for you. We're talking college football, volleyball, the NFL, and a little bit of the NBA. But before we get going, I want to share that today's show is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between. So plan your ride to this weekend's game against Kentucky at capmetro.org. All right, time to get right into it. We're in week 11 now in this year, and we have a new lineup of contestants for tonight. So without further ado, let's get all y'all introduced. Starting things off, we have this week's returning champion. His Pittsburgh Steelers now lead the AFC North after defeating the Baltimore Ravens. Looking to defend his title, it's Colin Flickinger.
Yeah, I think that just about sums up how this week's going. Just no sound. Yeah.
Well, Colin, we hope that you can turn up the sound tonight. We're glad to have you on. Looking now in the middle seat, we have a man straight out of the DMV, also very happy with his NFL team. Not quite as much when it comes to the NBA, but you know, they're showing some promise. Let's welcome on Ryan Hopper.
Well, it's great to be here, Rob, and they're not showing any promise. We're tanking, and that's fine. And I hope that the committee views this as a conference championship game with the Tournament of Champions coming up. So if I do lose, this is a quality loss.
Playing strategically tonight, I see. Playing strategically. And rounding it out, we have a young man making his College Crossfire debut. Houston Astros, Texans, and San Antonio Spurs fan. It's Max Dagley.
Hey, thanks for that introduction, Robert. I'm happy to be here. You know, great win for the Texans on Monday night. Team's not looking pretty, but it's always awesome being the Cowboys. So, yeah, happy to be here.
Right, it is, Max. Well, we're all excited to have y'all all on tonight. But before we get into it, we need to review the game's rules in case our viewers have never tuned in before. So there's going to be 3 rounds with each one containing 3 questions. Points are going to be given out to who I believe has the best answer in order of 3 points, 2 points, and 1. Whoever has the most points at the end of the final round wins and gets to come back on for next week's show. We must not forget that the third and final round, better known as the rapid fire round, is worth double the points, meaning the best answer will receive 6 points and so on. In this round, the contestants have not been able to see or prepare for these questions whatsoever, so they'll have to think on their feet and come up with their idea of what the best possible answer is. In the event that there's a tie, by the end of rapid fire, there will be a bonus question to see who is crowned champion. Now that we've reviewed the rules, we can begin. Okay. Starting the night off, yesterday evening, we received our 3rd ever official rankings and seedings for the 12-team college football playoff. Something was different about this particular ranking, though. The best group of 5 team, Boise State, was ranked ahead of the best Big 12 team, BYU. In turn, this meant that the 12th ranked Broncos would receive the 4 seed and a bye, while the 14th ranked Cougars would be playing 5th seeded Ohio State in the first round on the road. Do you agree with this ranking, or should any of the current best group of 5 teams be ranked ahead of BYU, or should the best Big 12 team still be receiving that bye? Colin, start this one off for us.
I think the whole debate about whether or not Power 4 teams deserve just the benefit of the doubt over a group of 5 teams is really stupid. You have games. If you want to be placed above those teams, you have to win them. You cannot have stupid losses to a 3-6 Kansas team. BYU has had one loss this season to the #1 team in the country by 3 points. They need to be ranked high. Okay, that's really early. But anyway, they've only lost one game to the one team in the country by 3 points. Meanwhile, BYU and all the other teams behind them, they've lost stupid games to bad teams. That's all I got to say. You want to win? You want to get ranked high? Win your games.
Boise State falling early to Oregon in the season, but then they haven't looked back since. Ryan Hopper?
Well, and to piggyback off that point, I would say that going to Eugene, Oregon, and only losing by 3 points as a group of 5 team, that's more impressive, honestly, than any win on Texas's schedule. Hate to bring that up. Texas doesn't have any quality wins. So Texas is 3rd in this ranking, and Boise State's all the way down here at 12th. They're steamrolling teams in the Mountain West. They're doing everything that they can. Meanwhile, BYU barely escaped a victory against a bad Utah team starting Zach Wilson's little brother. They won that game by a point. They lost to 3-6 Kansas. Win your games, like he said. Also, I'm going to use this as an opportunity because I can't believe you haven't had a question about Army Notre Dame to shout out my Army Black Knights, who also have won all their games 9-0, and yet are being disrespected by the community, by the committee, disrespecting our troops. They're at 19. They're 9-0, Rob, and they're about to prove it this weekend against Notre Dame. I think they keep that close. Put some respect on these group of 5 teams. The ACC and the Big 12 are pretty bad at football and are closer to the group of 5 than they are to the SEC and the Big 10. Put some group of 5 respect.
Starting out hot. Max?
Look, I completely agree with the ranking. Boise State is better than BYU. It was fun while it lasted for BYU. A little Cinderella run there. They're one of the better teams in the Big 12. They had some good road wins, some good statement wins, but ultimately they're a Big 12 team that couldn't beat Kansas at home. Look, the only really impressive thing to me that BYU has done this season is beat SMU in Week 2. But you know what also happened in Week 2? Was like Hopper just mentioned, Boise State went down to Eugene, Oregon, and took the defending champs to the #1 team in the country to the very last play. And like Ashton Jenny, he's great, he's amazing. Not enough good things to say about him. But one thing Boise State isn't getting credit for is their offense as a whole. They're 4th in the nation with 496 yards a game. And look, when you put teams in the playoff, for David to beat a Goliath like a Big 12 team or a group of 5 team, you got to have an offense. You got to show that you can go toe-to-toe with the big guys like they did with Oregon. Otherwise, you put BYU in there, who's 12th in the Big 12 in offense, put them against a team like Georgia or Texas, Alabama, whoever. That offense isn't going to do anything. It's going to turn into another TCU, Georgia, or just a very lopsided matchup that fans want to see. Fans want to see Ash and Jenny go against good teams, and I completely agree with the ranking.
Great analysis by all of y'all. I like how you took a step back and you gave GT his credit, but you talked about Boise State being a great team overall. With that being said, I think that y'all do agree with the rankings. I like your analysis the most. You'll get the 3 on that one. Hopper, I like what you said about it's more embarrassing that BYU is losing to Kansas, and they're looking more like a group of 5 team than they are an SEC or Big 10 team. Look at the 2, Colin the 1. Great analysis over there by all 3 of y'all. We only have 2 weekends left in this year's college football regular season, and it's been a while since we've discussed this particular topic. So I want to revisit this. Now that the race seems closer, who will be this season's Heisman Trophy winner, and tell me why? Ryan?
Well, we can argue about who should, and I still believe that Travis Hunter should. If I had a Heisman vote, I would vote for Travis Hunter. But if we're talking about who will, Rob, the casinos in Vegas are big, tall, and glitzy and glamorous for a reason, because the odds makers know what they're doing. FanDuel Sportsbook has Travis Hunter minus 330 to win the award. He is going to win the award. We're not talking about a positional award, okay? We can give Ashton Genty the Doak Walker Award for the best running back. We can give maybe someone else the Thorpe Award for the best defensive back, though I think Hunter is in the race for that. He is playing at such a high level as both a receiver and a defensive back. You see guys in high school who can't even play both ways and excel both ways. He is excelling both ways in a Power 4 conference for a team that is still making a run for the playoffs and could win the Big 12 championship. He's the best overall player in college football. We can do positional awards later. That could be a separate question on Crossfire. That's a separate question for the voters. Travis Hunter is the best overall football player in this country. He plays 115 snaps a game. Need I say more?
There's hardly a snap in a single game where he misses, unless it's like special teams. But, yeah, look on the offense, look on the defense. He's out there. Max?
I have a feeling this answer is going to be unanimous between the three of us. The Heisman winner this year should be Travis Hunter. In this chaotic college football season, I feel like it's a lot easier to kind of determine how much value a player has to a team. A lot of teams have two lost, a lot of good teams and whatnot. And we wouldn't even be having this conversation about Travis Hunter if Colorado was 4-5 or, sub 500. I think, his value to that team really sticks out in games. You saw it in Week 4 against Baylor in overtime when he punched that ball out at the goal line. Travis Hunter has been a difference maker on that Colorado team. So is Ashton Jenney on Boise State. But when you really look at it and see what this team would be like without him, I think Travis Hunter is right there. You can compare him to Babe Ruth, Shohei Ohtani, Jabril Peppers, but he's not comparable. What he's doing for this Colorado team, leading them to the Big 12 championship possibly, or even playoff contention, what he has done should not go unnoticed, and I think he should be the Heisman.
Colin, finish this one off for us.
So at risk of not wanting to repeat the same exact thing that you heard the last two times, I'm actually going to go with Ashton Jenney should be the Heisman. Because when you look at it, Ashton Jenney is currently not on course, but very close to being on course to breaking the all-time running back yards record. He's probably not going to do it by the time the Heisman votes are in, but he will probably do it by the time his team is knocked out of the playoffs. That said, Travis Hunter is ranked PFF 8 cornerback and 5 wide receiver. We're not talking about a guy who is top 3 at either position. He is not what I consider elite. When I say elite, I think top 3, top 5. Maybe you say he's a top elite wide receiver, but rank 8 quarterback in the country, rank 5 receiver. I don't think that is really enough to put him at the level of Heisman.
There, you said it. Ashton Jenney and Travis Hunter, two of the best players in the whole entirety of college football right now. I have to agree most with your analysis, Ryan Hopper. I mean, the way you put it is that Travis Hunter is a two-way player right now, and no one is doing as much as Travis is for their team and still in the college football playoff race. Yes, Boise State is still in the race. Colorado is behind them, but, I mean, this guy, man, he's playing two ways, and he's excelling at both. I have to give you the 3 because you said Travis Hunter 2. I'll give you the 2, Max. Colin the 1. But Jenney, Hunter, it's still a very tight race. It could go either way. After losing 3 straight games during late October and heading into early November, Texas volleyball has turned it around by winning 3 straight. The team has yet to win a game that has gone to 5 sets but only one of their losses has been decided by less than that amount. What will Texas's record be heading into their next 3 games? And if they want to win all of them, what will be the key to their success?
Look, those 3 games in a row that Texas lost early on, those were a rough watch. But, clearly they didn't panic because they're back to that mentality of the back-to-back national champions. They've won 3 games in a row that haven't gone to 5 sets. They're taking care of business early, and if they want to win these next 3 games, they have to do that. Don't run into any early trouble. Don't make mistakes early like our football team likes to do, but just get in there, get the business done, do it early. Have players like Mariana Singletary and Madison Skinner, get them involved early. Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma, their next 3 opponents, all their records aren't great. They haven't really played anybody good. Tennessee did play Penn State and Louisville early in the season. Those are really the 2 only high-ranked opponents they've played, and they didn't fare well at all. So, yeah, the keys to winning, just take care of business, do it early, dominate like the defending national champs they are.
Madison Skinner and Mariana Singletary, great players in the team that have been leading them all season.
So first I'm going to talk about the 3 games they have coming up. First is a game against Oklahoma at Oklahoma, but it's a Oklahoma team that Texas lost to at home earlier in the year. I think Texas pulls it out because they just want it more. They're going to want that revenge game. And then their next 2 games at home versus Mississippi and Tennessee. Those are both teams that are sub 500 on the road. I think Ole Miss is sub 500 in conference play, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And I don't think that either one of those teams have the skill to outmatch Texas's skill. What I will say for how Texas needs to win those games is they need to continue what has got them their last 3 games, that is playing as a team. You know, their team chemistry has improved so much more as the season has gone on. That first 3-game losing streak they had at the beginning of the year, that was really just because of how they didn't mesh well together. The players lacked a sense of team chemistry. That's not a problem anymore. I think Texas plays into that, and I think they win their last 3 games.
Hopper, finish this one.
So first of all, I'd like to shout out the Spike the Tower podcast with Debony and Jackson. Great volleyball podcast on the Texas volleyball team. So, look, I think they win these 3 games. I think they do so convincingly. I'll give the Sooners a set in Norman for the fact that they came in to Austin, very impressive win, and beat Texas. But look, the main change Texas made is they went from 2 setters to 1 setter. And I'm not going to act like I know all the X's and O's of volleyball, but something has clearly worked because during the 3 losses that they recently had, they were running the 2-setter system. They struggled. They lost all 3 games. Pretty inexcusable for a defending national champion. Since then, 3 wins, 2 sweeps. They've only dropped 1 set. That's a big difference. Also, the hitting errors have killed them. Just like errors can kill you in baseball, the hitting errors have killed them. And just like football, when you're the more talented team, sometimes you just need to show up and you're the physically better team and not beat yourself. If they don't beat themselves with these costly errors, they will win all 3 of these matches easily. They may have 3 sweeps, but I'll say they sweep Tennessee and Ole Miss. And in the game on Friday night, I think they win in 4 sets versus OU in Norman.
I do agree with you. I think that the Friday night game will not be a sweep, but I do think Texas goes to Norman and takes care of business. I like what you said most about the switching from 2 setters to 1 setter. Colin, I like what you said about the chemistry. Hopper, you get the 3. Colin with talking about the chemistry of this team getting better. You'll get the 2. Max the 1. But still great answers all around nonetheless. We've got plenty more to come. That's going to wrap it up for our first block. You know, college sports out of the way. Time to get into some professional sports. Stick around because College Crossfire is going to return in just a sec. Welcome back into College Crossfire. We've got a really good game going on right now. Ryan Hopper leads with 8 points. Max Dagley in his debut behind him with 6, and Colin Flickinger with 4. Overall, some great answers from our contestants during our collegiate sports round. But now it's time to switch into our second block, what I've kind of molded into as the professional sports round. So, starting things off with this one, I think we got Joe Burrow in the Cincinnati Bengals right now. So, on Sunday Night Football, those 2 players, they dropped another game late against the Los Angeles Chargers with just over 5 minutes to go in the game. 5 minutes. The team had 2 real possessions where they could take the lead, but both ended in either a missed field goal or a 3-and-out. Are Burrow and Chase giving up precious career time playing in Cincinnati, or are the Bengals just a few decisions away from fixing their losing problem? I believe, Max, you start with this one.
Look, no, they're not wasting precious time. This has been a frustrating season. That's pretty obvious, but I'll go on record to say the Bengals might be the best 4-7 team of all time. 6 of these 7 losses have come in one-score games. One of them against the Chiefs on a controversial call. 3 that could have been different if the leg of Evan McPherson felt like working that day. And, yeah, all these games that they've lost have been pretty tight for the most part. And look, what it comes down to is you have a top 10 offense playing alongside a bottom 10 defense. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are not the problem. He's leading the league in passing. Jamar Chase is leading the league in receiving yards. The defense, though, they're giving up 27 points a game with 355 yards a game. And when you're giving up those numbers, you can't just rely on Joe Burrow to bail you out all the time. Look, 4-7 is a rough record. They have a bye week right now. Their next 6 stretch of games to conclude the season, they got the Steelers twice. They got the Cowboys, the Titans, and the Browns, and then they play, I believe it's the Broncos. I might have said that already. But, look, they should aim to go 5-1 in this stretch. Obviously, a lot easier said than done. But I honestly think it just comes down to better execution and coaching from the defensive side of the ball and McPherson being able to make kicks. It's not the time to panic. Yes, it's a rough record, but things look a little brighter, and I think they can get it done. Try to go 5-1 over this next couple of stretch. Run the table like Aaron Rodgers did in 2016. Make the playoffs.
I think that I don't think they're out of the playoffs at all. I think that they still have a good stretch coming on. Colin, or Ryan, that's the order.
Oh, it goes like this. Okay. So I was when I was prepping for this, I'm like, what do I say? Because you can go either direction here, but I am going to say that it is not time for them to personally panic right now. For all the reasons he said, the defense has been awful this year. Like, honestly, a bottom 4 unit in the NFL the entire season. When they've won, they've pretty much had to win in shootouts. The one-possession games, you can determine, your season can be determined in the NFL by one-possession games. It's not like college football. And they've been bad in one-possession games. Kicking struggles can lose you games. So I don't think it's time for them to panic now. Joe Burrow just signed a massive new deal. I believe Chase recently got paid. Yeah, Chase recently got paid because they might not pay T. Higgins. That would be a loss. My long-term concern, though, is if they can continue to not sort the defense out, Burrow and Chase should look elsewhere because the Bengals are historically a cheap, terrible organization in a division with the Ravens and the Steelers, 2 model organizations. So if you have 2 great organizations with great front offices and ownerships in your division that consistently have great defenses while your defense is Swiss cheese, eventually I think you have to look elsewhere. But for now, next year or 2, they have some young corners. Stay put for now, and Joe Burrow is an Ohio native. Stay put for now, panic later.
Interesting. Colin, round this one out for us.
I'm going to go the other way of these 2 again. When I look at Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, I see a lot of similarities with another all-time most skilled quarterback wide receiver duo, and that is Matt Stafford and Megatron, right? So you look at what happened in their careers. They consistently had great offenses and were always let down by their defense. And then you also look at Matt Stafford and Megatron's injury history. They also had quite a few here and there as well. You look at Joe Burrow, it's the same thing. He's had 2 season-ending injuries behind his terrible O-line. He also had an MCL sprain in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. He can't stay healthy, and it's not easy to stay healthy as a quarterback when you are constantly getting hit like he is behind their terrible, terrible O-line that their front office just doesn't seem to fix. And then what they said about the defense is also true. The front office is not doing anything to fix it. I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, not right now, but within the next year, if things do not get better for them, especially Joe Burrow, if he wants to have a career and not continue to get these injuries that he seems to get every season or 2, needs to look elsewhere.
I think injuries are really a big issue with Joe Burrow and the Bengals right now, and maybe put him in a situation where he's not going to be susceptible to getting them as much. Maybe a better offensive line, maybe a defense that can. Now, defense doesn't affect him getting injured, but it still changes the outcome.
Keeps you off the field for
defense. What keeps you off the field for a little bit longer. But with that being said, Max, hear me out on this one. Max, I'm going to give you the 3 on this one because I think you're right. They're not. You outright said they're not wasting any precious time right now. But then again, there's a defensive problem that can be fixed pretty easily. I'm going to give Colin the 2 because he approaches the situation in a more immediate manner, whereas you're saying the defense can't be fixed as quickly. You know, he's saying, why not just get Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase out of there? I think that they should get out of there, like you brought that up, but I think that the defense can be fixed quickly. And I don't think fixing the defense is a long-term issue. So the 3, the 2, the 1, still great answers all around, but we're going to hop into another NFL question here, and I'd love to hear y'all's takes. This weekend, we have a lopsided NFL matchup that many fans are actually very curious about. On Sunday, the Chiefs, who just took their first loss to the Buffalo Bills, traveled to Charlotte to take on Bryce Young, Chuba Hubbard, and the 3-7 Carolina Panthers, who are also, not to mention, on a 2-game winning streak and coming off of a bye. I also need to tell y'all that high-rated draft prospect, former Longhorn, Jonathan Brooks is finally set to make his NFL debut. What will happen in this game? Who wins? And by how much? This is arguably the best team in the NFL taking on one of the worst teams. Ryan?
Well, and you said it's the best team in the NFL versus one of the worst. Let's use common sense here, guys. I got the Chiefs in a blowout. Look, I understand the Chiefs haven't blown out a lot of teams this year. They have not been very good against the spread, but they've had a lot of high numbers. But this is a classic bounce-back spot. Okay, you finally see a chink in the armor with the Chiefs. They finally lose a game to a very tough Buffalo Bills team. Meanwhile, the Panthers are riding high. Oh, we won 2 straight. Is Bryce Young the answer? No. Get your head out of the clouds. He's too short. He's not mobile enough for the NFL level. He might be able to slip away from SEC defensive ends. He can't slip away very much from NFL ones. They don't have a great group of receivers, even though Xavier Legette is hilarious, and I hope they keep interviewing him. Look, this is an 11-point spread. The game is in Carolina. There's probably going to be a third of the fans are going to be Chiefs fans because they're good and because of the Swifties and because Carolina is a terrible team. I've seen this movie before. Growing up a Washington fan, many 3-7 seasons, opposing team rolls into town, big spread. It's a blowout every time, Rob. I've seen this movie before. The Chiefs have a defense that's really great. Defense travels. The Panthers' defense is Swiss cheese. Chiefs by 3 scores.
Swiss cheese is your new thing now. I like it. I like it. Colin?
So I speak for all the Chuba Hubbard fantasy owners out there when we say that this game is going to be make or break for whether or not I start him going into the playoffs. This is a game against a very bad run defense with a where his pass offense isn't great. I want to see what he can do against the Chiefs' run defense. But anyway, to the game. So the Chiefs coming off a loss. The Panthers are coming off 2 wins. If this was my Steelers, I would bet the house on the Panthers because it seems like a classic Mike Tomlin trap game. But it's not. It's the Chiefs. I think that the Chiefs pull some sort of voodoo devil magic out in a close game going to the 3rd quarter to where they're going to get a ton of calls. Something crazy is going to happen, and they're going to just start pulling away late. They're going to blow them out by probably 17-20 by the end of the game. But I don't think Jonathan Brooks is going to make that big of a splash. Chuba Hubbard is, he's one of the, not best, but he's a really good running back. I don't think there's any point in trying to mix up what he's doing for them right now. Not to go off fantasy points, but he is, I think, position rank 8 in fantasy points right now. He's really good at what he does. There's no point to mix it up, put Jonathan Brooks in there. But I don't see the Panthers doing really anything at all this game.
Max?
Look, I love an underdog story just as much as the next guy. It's really refreshing to see Bryce Young get some wins under his belt after all the adversity he's dealt with. But I'm not going to let this block me from what's going to happen on Sunday. I think the Chiefs are going to win by at least 2 scores. Look, like I said, good for Bryce Young. Really cool to see that. Did he start the game? Yes. Did he get the job done? Yes. Was it against the Saints and the Giants? Yes. Did he average less than 150 passing yards in both of those games? Yes. So, look. This is going to be exactly what it's supposed to be. The Chiefs are going to blow them out, I believe. You have that dynamic backfield with the Panthers with Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks, but the Chiefs are giving up the 3rd least rushing yards this season in a game, so you're not going to have much there. And, Bryce Young, happy for him. Don't think he can do it against a real team. All I have to say is Mahomes, Reed, Kelsey, Hunt, Hopkins, who's been playing exceptionally well.
Hardman.
Yeah, Hardman, everybody. I don't need to really explain on the Chiefs, but I think this game is going to be exactly what it was. That Kansas City rushing defense is going to stop Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks. The Chiefs, they're coming off a loss. They're probably out for blood. Not expecting much here. If Bryce Young could pull it out, we might be looking at this game one day, seeing this is what propelled his career. But, yeah, as for now, I don't see anything crazy happening on Sunday.
Interesting takes. Yes, so I don't see anything crazy happening either, and I believe confidently that the Chiefs are going to win this game. But for some reason, I feel like it's going to be tight ending the third quarter. The Chiefs are going to win. There's going to be no doubt about that. But by the end of the third quarter, it will still have been a game. Colin, I'm going to give you the 3 on this one. Hopper, I like how you talked about, it's going to be a blowout. They're coming off of a bye. The Panthers are coming off of a bye, but the Chiefs are pretty angry about losing to the Bills. And yes, I think it's going to be still a 1 score. I don't know if it's going to be 2 scores, but I like how you said, Bryce Young, he just won 2 games, but Max, it's like you said, it's against the Saints and the Giants. Not quite the teams that you're supposed to be bragging about beating. But 3, 2, and 1 down the row. Great answers, though. So let's talk some NBA now. The Philadelphia 76ers are just flat out having a bad season so far. Sorry if there's any Philly fans in the audience. Even with high expectations for the new trio of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George, there still hasn't been a game until maybe tonight where the 3 have played together. And now they're sitting at a disappointing 2-11 record. I'm not sure how they're doing tonight, but I think they're playing right now. Even taking injuries and suspensions into consideration, should the franchise consider making some major roster adjustments?
I think so. I mean, we look at Embiid's career. It has been, almost 8 years now. He still hasn't made an ECF appearance. Fraud. But anyway, I don't know if you looked in the media yesterday, but Tyrese Maxey had some choice, or reportedly at least, had some choice words for Joel Embiid. I do not think that this is a team that is going to work together in the long run. Joel Embiid and Paul George are both getting up there. Embiid is, I think, 34. George is pushing 35. This is not a long-term success team. This window is this year and this year only, more or less. They're 2-11 right now. I think the best case scenario for the Sixers is maybe clawing their way back to a play-in spot. That's not worth it. And then you look at their current backcourt of Jared McCain, who has 5 20-plus point games. That is the same amount as the combined amount that all the lottery picks right now have. And then Tyrese Maxey, who's 24 years old. I think if you blow up their front court, you get rid of the forwards, you get rid of Joel Embiid, trade it for future prospects. I think in about 2 to 3 years, that Sixers backcourt can be one of the best in the league. And then you have all those young players that you can trade Embiid and Paul George for to teams that are looking to get that little bump to get them over the edge. I think that can get you a lot of good prospects for the future as well. They can recreate a juggernaut in just about 2 or 3 years.
Based on the start of this season, it kind of seems like, from your answer, the Sixers are kind of already they're moving on from this season already, and they're looking on to bigger and better things. Ryan.
All right, so you asked about tonight. Quick update: they lost to Memphis by 6. They're now
2-12.
They're now 2-12, and also
did all 3 of them play?
No, because PG is hurt again. Rob, he's hurt again. The best a football GM once said this: the best ability is availability. It applies to any sport. If you're not going to have Embiid and PG on the floor, which are probably, 60% of your salary cap in a salary cap league, what are we even doing here? You're 2-12, like Colin said, the best you're hoping for is sneak into that 9-10 spot, and then you're in the play-in. My Wizards were in the play-in for years. You don't want to be in the play-in. You want to be in the playoffs, or you want to be tanking. That's just how the NBA is now. Look, I don't know if they can fully tank because they have a good backcourt. You're not going to get rid of McCain, even though he's got a goofy TikTok. You're not going to get rid of Tyrese Maxey, but they're very good basketball players. Let's build around some young guys. That's what Philly needs to do. I hope they don't. I want to see Philly continuously spin in the mud. But anyway, trade PG, trade Embiid. Embiid came out of college with injury issues. We've seen this movie before. PG hasn't been the same since he got hurt for Team USA. Trade him to a young team. Maybe the Rockets are looking to win now. Give up some of the young pieces and get a bona fide superstar. I'll leave you guys out of this, though. Trade it to a team that needs that final piece. The Sixers are multiple pieces away. And you know what? Doc Rivers might have put a curse on them. Blow this team up.
One thing about that, so I think what we're seeing right now in Philadelphia is a reincarnation of the little Brooklyn Nets situation with Irving, Harden, and Durant. Where, come on, you have 3 of the best players in the league, and they can't even play 7 games together. I mean, what are we doing here? Also, to your point about the Rockets, leave us out of that because look, I saw a report today. Let's have Giannis Antetokounmpo join the team, and we said no. Our development is way too young right now, and it's going so well. We're only half a game back in the Western Conference from first place. Leave us out of it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Max?
Yeah, 2-12. That's a dumpster fire of a record. And here's what I'm going to say as far as making major roster adjustments. Look, 2019, you give Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, trio of Ben Simmons, those 3 together, second-round exit. 2022, he's got Harden, role players, Tobias Harris, second-round exit. This year, they gave him 2. He's got Tyrese Maxey and Paul George. Look, if this big 3 doesn't work out, you're pointing at one guy, and that's Joel Embiid. And, yesterday's report coming out how he's being called out in the locker room for being tardy to everything. You're the superstar and leader of a team who has gone above and beyond to surround you with so much talent, and you can't even show up on time for a meeting. The major roster change should be Embiid if this continues. 14 games into an 82-game season is early. They still have time to turn around. They got good veteran presence on that team. Reggie Jackson, Andre Drummond, Eric Gordon. They got young players, Jared McCain, Caleb Martin. They can turn this around, maybe sneak in there like Hopper was saying. But if they are going to make big roster adjustments, I believe it's got to be Embiid because we've just seen this time and time again. The window's closing for him. Get some assets out of him while you still can because right now it's not looking like it's going to work there.
I hate to say it, but that analysis really reminded me a lot of James Harden in Houston. You can't get it done with Dwight Howard. You can't get it done with Chris Paul. You can't get it done with Russell Westbrook. I mean, come on. I love James Harden, but, it's a very similar issue that's being said right now. I have to agree most with Mr. Hopper in that, most of your salary cap is going towards Paul George and Embiid. Like, they can win some games if they're all on the court, but they're not playing all on the court right now. I don't think this is, Max, I don't think this is the trio that they should be going with. Maybe you rebuild with Embiid off the team. You'll get the 2 on that one because of that, but I just don't think that there is a good squad that can play together right now in Philadelphia. So that's where I'll leave it. So 3, 2, and 1 down the line. But that's a great great answers from our professional round. I mean, there's some really good, interesting takes. I mean, it kind of gets me fired up about, I've seen the problem happen in Houston before. It's happening in Philadelphia. But we'll leave it at that. Great professional round. Good job from good answers all around. When we come back, it's going to be rapid fire. Double the points, double the pressure. It's about to get hot.
Yeah!
Stay tuned because we're coming right back. Welcome back into College Crossfire. We have a super close game right now. Mr. Ryan Hopper leads with 14 points, Max Dagley with 12, and Colin Flickinger with 10. So it's still anyone's game, and it's all up for grabs as we're about to begin our 3rd and final round, rapid fire. So let's get right into our first question. On Friday night, former content creator turned Disney Channel star turned professional boxer Jake Paul took the legendary Mike Tyson to a full 8 rounds in a boxing ring and won. While the match wasn't the aggressive bout many fans were looking for, it was still cool to see these icons take each other on. So I must ask you, which 2 fighters, either in boxing, UFC, or wrestling, so the WWE, need to take on each other next, and why? Anyone can answer first.
So like boxing versus...
Not cross fighting. You can pick any style of fighting. What 2 people need to meet, either in the ring or the octagon, anything.
I really want to see John Jones and Alex Pereira get into a WWE Hell in a Cell match. I feel like just not even scripted. I want to see that unscripted. I want to see them just go at each other for as long as they can in a cage, like where you can climb and drop on the other person. I think that would just be hilarious. I hate both of them. I want to see them both just get absolutely messed up by the other one. I think that would be amazing to see.
I think that would be some pretty wild national television going on right there. I mean, you have 2 of the best UFC fighters who've, I think, fought each other before, taking on each other in a cage match.
Yeah, it's like a...
Oh yeah, it's a real thing. It's real, but that'd be some parental guidance would probably be needed for that one.
So I want to ask, does it have to be a cross fight, or can I just say a fight I want?
No.
Okay.
I intend this question to be a fight you want to see. It doesn't mean you got to take someone from this league like the UFC and put them in boxing. Take any style of fighting, pick that style and be like, this is the dream matchup I've been waiting to see.
Well, okay, here's the thing. The reason I'm not going to give a cross answer is because it's inherently unfair to whoever is making the cross, because when we're talking about elite fighters, they're just never going to win. If you ask a UFC guy to go to boxing, you saw what happened when Floyd just made a fool out of Conor. Floyd was barely trying. He makes a fool out of boxers defensively. Conor was punching air. So it's not going to work. The cage match, unfortunately, is never going to work because a fighting body is never going to officially sanction that. That would just never be legally allowed.
Well, it doesn't need to. It's just what's your dream match?
So,
what do you want to see?
yeah, but something that's slightly realistic. So I'm going to go with the fight that every boxing fan wants. The undefeated, hailing from Baltimore, Maryland, Gervonta Tank Davis taking on Canelo Alvarez. It's a fight we all want to see. Canelo's only got a draw and a loss on his record. Gervonta Tank Davis is undefeated, and he'll stay undefeated after his fight in Houston this month. It is the boxing fight we've all wanted. Put it in Vegas, put it wherever. It'll be a fantastic fight. It'll be the Hagler versus Hearns of our time. It's what we all wanted. It's like if we got Pacquiao versus Mayweather when we were supposed to get it and not when they were both washed up. It would be a fantastic fight. You can figure out the weight classes. It would be great, and it would be evenly matched.
So we got someone with WWE. Now we got someone in boxing. How old is Canelo now?
He's getting up there, but he's still really good.
He's still fighting?
36, yeah, he's still fighting, yeah.
You know, I'm going to keep this really simple, and it's the same 2 fighters as Colin's. John Jones and Alex Pereira need to fight each other in the UFC. This fight needs to happen. It's not as, random as theirs, or Colin's. His was boxing, mine's UFC. This fight needs to happen. Look, John Jones is at the tail end of his career. I mean, we saw what he did last Saturday, but keep in mind, that was against a 44-year-old Stipe Miocic who probably hasn't thrown a punch in practice or training or anything in years. This fight needs to happen for 2 reasons. Look, John Jones is old. Tom Aspinall, interim heavyweight champion. They get in the ring tomorrow. My money's on Tom Aspinall. 2, Pereira's also getting up there in age, and this would be a legacy fight for the century. You got a guy who ruled the light heavyweight division in UFC for decades, I think 12 undisputed defending his belt. And then you got Alex Pereira, who's been ruling the light heavyweight division for the last couple of years. So these 2 going up against each other would just be the greatest thing that the UFC could put on right now. It would generate millions in revenue. It'd be such an exciting fight. I mean, you saw John Jones spinning back kick his Stipe Miocic's liver fall down. Alex Pereira has done the same thing to guys. I mean, it would be brutal knockout, I'm guessing, but these 2 need to happen. These 2 need to fight each other. It needs to happen.
So I'm getting continually more interested in the UFC, but I've never really gone out of my own way to buy a fight yet, and that is a fight that I would definitely go buy.
Extreme East, Rob.
Hey, we can't endorse that on here.
So these are the types of answers I was really looking for. We got a WWE answer, we have a boxing answer, and a UFC answer. I love how y'all answered these questions. So let's get to our second one. On Monday, AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys, had a piece of metal debris fall from the ground before getting embarrassed by the Houston Texans on national television. I don't think we have any future architects in here. We do have an engineer, but he's not an architectural one, I believe. Electrical, right? But I would love to know if you owned a professional sports stadium, or if you owned a pro sports team and had the opportunity to design the perfect stadium, which aspect of your stadium's design would you ultimately try to take the most pride in? Would it be roofing? Maybe having a fully functional retractable one? Would it be having the coolest jumbotrons, concessions, luxury experiences? Come on, let's hear it.
I'm going to do the exact same thing the current Clippers owner is doing. I am going to make it the best fan-oriented experience possible. I want fans to be able to get back to their seats after using the bathroom. I want them to be able to go out, get cheap enough concessions. I'm doing as many family deals as possible like they do at some baseball games where you go in, with your ticket, you get one free meal, a free drink. You get the fans seated, you get them wanting to sit down, and you get them wanting to be there. You get them happy while they're there, and you keep them entertained. You want to make sure it is the best fan-oriented experience possible, because not only as an owner is that going to benefit you, not only is that going to mean more people are going to want to come to your games, but it's also going to keep them there, keep them loud, keep them in their seats.
For a man of the people, I don't think anyone can really vouch against that at all.
Well, and so that's kind of the direction I want to go, because you see where stadiums are going now. Capacities are actually being reduced with new stadiums because the amenities are being prioritized. Less bathroom lines, more dining options, hopefully cheaper dining options, though some have gone the other way. They have got to keep costs low. The tickets are expensive enough. You know what I'm doing with my stadium? No Ticketmaster. No Ticketmaster. We are doing direct to the fans, okay? For away fans, we're checking zip codes so you can't come in and take over our stadium like I've seen at so many Redskins games. Look, that's what you got to do. You got to have the home fans there. You got to have relatively cheap tickets, and then you have to build a young fan base, because young fans are going to spend money throughout their time if they become a fan, so it's a good business deal in the long run. So, if you're 21 to 30, $2 beers, and we'll give you a bucket for 12, okay? We can't do cables prices, but we can do close. And then kids deals. You need kids deals to where a family can afford to take their kids to the game for like $10 for a kid's meal. You don't need a family of four spending $100 just to feed their kids at the game, and that's how you make lifelong fans.
Interesting, right there, so if you don't want to do Ticketmaster, are we still doing digital tickets, or are we doing paper tickets?
We're doing digital tickets, but for the old people like my stepdad who get frustrated, we're doing paper tickets for them.
Got it. Got to respect that.
They've been going to these games forever.
With some high verification system.
Yes.
Max?
Kind of staying along the theme of fans here. For me, I think I'd create a fan loyalty system, and this really plays in part whenever it gets down to the postseason and things like that. I can't tell you how many times I've watched my Astros in the playoffs have a heartbreaking loss at home because the fans weren't cheering loud enough, or it was just people not standing up, not in their seats or whatever. It was really frustrating because I would have loved to be at that game, but, I can't donate an arm and a leg to be there. I think a fan loyalty system throughout the season, have fans, keep points. Those fans that go to the Wednesday day games, remember them. Remember who they are, the season ticket holders who are way up in the nosebleeds. They deserve to be at the games where it matters most. So I think a fan loyalty system, based off how many games they go to, based off where they're sitting and whatnot, creates a perfect chance to really get them there when it matters most.
So if I get where you're coming from, you have your single, like people who just go out online and buy a single game ticket, and then you have your season ticket holders. You're saying do a loyalty system for the people who just go online and buy a ticket to one casual game, but find a way to track that somehow so they can get points.
Memberships, something like that. Buy it through the organization, not SeatGeek or anything like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Great answers. All right. Now our final one of the night. We are just 8 days away from one of the best holidays of the year, Thanksgiving, an elite mix of food, family, and football. For our final question of the night, we are going to focus on the food aspect. Which Thanksgiving dish, from appetizers to main entrees to sides to desserts, takes the crown for the best, and why?
So many good ones.
Give me mac and cheese.
That's the ruin.
Dude, my grandma's mac and cheese, rest in peace, was the best thing that I have ever eaten. Every year when we would go up to her house in Annapolis, Maryland, I would walk into that place, I would grab a plate, I would cut up a corner square of mac and cheese, put it on my plate, put some cranberry sauce right next to it, sit down and eat away. Dude, mac and cheese, it's so versatile. It isn't even necessarily a Thanksgiving food. It works anywhere, but on Thanksgiving, you get the right amount of breadcrumbs on top. You get the cheesiness. You get the noodles. It is so good.
Mac and cheese, a dish you can never really go wrong with, and you can always kind of mix things into it. You know, like lobster mac and cheese, brisket mac. It's all good.
Mac and cheese is a great answer. Honestly, anything could be a great answer. It's Thanksgiving. But you know what? I'm going to go with the one dish that you really can't make on any other day of the year. You could theoretically make turkey on December 12th. Okay, whatever. You know you can only make on Thanksgiving, Rob? A turducken. A turkey inside of a duck inside of a chicken. I might have that wrong. I've only had one. And it was pretty good. Even the duck part. I was sleeping on the duck part. Pretty good. I mean, John Madden used to talk about it on the broadcast. Oh, you gotta get the turducken, you know? Like, I mean, and then they'd eat it on the field, and like Randy Moss would be like, "Oh, this is really good." That is what Thanksgiving's all about when you're watching football. I mean, when else? Like, if you made a turducken, you know, like yesterday, they'd be like, "Man, like you're crazy."
I think I remember.
It's a Thanksgiving dish for the day itself. You can make the cranberry sauce whenever. You can make cocktails whenever. You can watch football whenever. Only one day a year you're having a turducken.
This is necessary for the broadcast. I remember pulling a 2015 Madden Mobile Thanksgiving-themed card, and my card was the turducken.
That was a set card, too. You had to put it into a set with another player, and it gave you a 99.
Oh, yeah. And then they had Most Feared for Halloween. I remember that.
Did you ever play, like, on the
Max?
I think, mac and cheese, great dish. Can never go wrong with that. I think you can have that other times. Turducken, yeah, that's really an only Thanksgiving thing. I've had it once. I thought it was really dry. I think the best Thanksgiving dish, and with the holiday there and everything, when you eat it and whatnot, is pumpkin pie. My favorite thing to do, eat Thanksgiving with the family. You know, you're happy everybody's there. Go play football with the nephews a little bit. Then the Cowboys are probably like 3-8 playing, and, you're pretty tired. You're worn out. I'm going to get some pumpkin pie. I'm going to eat it, and I'm going to take a nap. It's really only something you eat during Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I think that's why it makes it special, and it's why it's one of the best holiday dishes. And, yeah, you're eating it. It's like a comfort food. I've talked to my cousins all day. I've talked to my aunts, uncles, grandpas. I just played football. I'm pretty tired. Let me eat this, take a nap. Great dish. Pairs well.
This plays no effect into the point system here. I just have a general question for the public, for the audience. So is pumpkin pie actually like?
I hate pumpkin pie.
Y'all,
It's fine.
What?
Pumpkin pie is
I
fine.
think
Apple
pumpkin
pie
No, I'm just. I know.
so much better.
I'm
It's
a back
popular.
on pumpkin pie. It's pretty good.
It's popular.
Pumpkin pie
It's
is
pumpkin. I don't try pumpkin flavored things a lot, but it's.
I'm pretty decent on the pumpkin flavors, but I just think there's better pies out there.
Well,
Like my
So-
stepmom's Kahlua pie. I almost said that.
Give me a
With
key-
Kahlua liquor in it.
Can we get
Key
a
lime
we
and
have.
blueberry pie.
So that's gonna
Nah,
wrap
you
things
tripping.
up. That's gonna wrap things up. But great answers all around from all y'all tonight. But as you know, there can only be one winner, and I mean y'all kept it pretty close tonight. But let's get a drum roll for our winner tonight. For the first official time this year, it is Ryan Hopper.
Official.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Do we have time for FaceTime?
Forgot about that.
We do. Go ahead.
All right, well, I would just like to thank everybody. You know, last time I may not have won the popular vote, but I won the Electoral College. You know, I would like to thank the committee. You know, I'm very happy to be a conference champion, going to defend my crown from last semester. I would like to thank everybody watching back home, Ben Campbell, all the boys. Shout out Ben. He's a public school teacher. He's doing God's work. Shout out my wonderful girlfriend, Catherine. Shout out anybody else who's watching. Maybe this game's on at the house. Love you guys, and I'm just happy to be here. Shout out to you, Rob, the hostess with the mostest. You know, sorry I forgot my jersey today. Shout out our wonderful floor manager, Stremp. Shout out everybody who pulled up. And, yeah, TSTV, baby. Nothing's better.
TSTV,
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. Congrats to you, Mr. Ryan Hopper. Thanks to everyone who makes this show possible, from the in-studio personnel to our stage manager, to our man on teleprompter, to our executive producer, Tyler Moss, who works so hard to make this show come to life. And to you, the audience, thanks for watching. That's going to wrap it up here in the studio tonight at TSTV. Be sure to tune in to our 1-0 show on Friday to get you ready for that Texas basketball and volleyball game that night, and our football game on Saturday. And not this upcoming Tuesday, but the next Tuesday, be sure to watch College Press Box. That's going to do it here in the studio tonight. Signing off, I'm your host, Robert Gonsolin. Have a great night.